Welcome to Around the Blockchain. Is going to be a great episode. We're talking about Jerome Powell's minutes and the effect on Bitcoin. Also, FTX clawback, asking for those political donations from your favorite political politicians out there. Hey, we don't want to give that money, they're saying. And AI wars, what is going to do to your bag. It's a great episode. We got some great guests. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. On the top right, rocking no sleeves, it is Jayson Casper. And Jason, wait a minute. We might be going to Miss Teen Crypto first. We have a new person on the board. Shout out to Hannah. Getting her hands dirty there. All right, Jayson Casper. Jason, how goes it? Were you trading during the minutes?
I was. I live streamed it. I longed the bottom, short the top, and then long the bottom. You should go check it out.
All right, we're definitely going to ask you some questions about that one. Can't wait to get into it. Also, just got tweeted at by CZ, who said he has impressive form with his bench press. Ben Armstrong. Ben, what were you benching in that video? You're muted.
It was weight.
It was weight. Okay.
Yeah.
Bumper plates?
Plates.
Okay, bumper plates.
300 pounds of plates. And no, that's not what gets given out at your church barbecue.
All right, good job there. And hey, maybe you and CZ in a push-up battle. I'll pay money for that one. Also,
I'm flexing on him a little bit because I did respond. I asked him, how much do I have to bench to get a front pocket on the Binance hoodie?
That's probably a whole lot right there. Maybe the entire weight of the crypto market. Also, on today's episode, we have Caleb Franzen. Caleb, how are you doing? Can't wait to get some of your insight on Powell's remarks there. Maybe we could kind of decipher where the market is heading. And then you might not recognize her. It is Miss Teen Crypto. Miss Teen Crypto, how does it feel to be in Ben's corner right now?
Honestly, really good. Chilling, feeling zesty. Ben is zesty. He's benching all this weight. I mean, he's impressing everyone. And he's the tank top. We got to love the tank tops.
Maybe it'll equate into a victory here, but let's talk about Jerome's remarks today. And basically just speaking just a week after they raised the interest rates by 0.25%, 25 basis points, and saying, maybe a little bit more tightening until this 2% inflation target is met, but did have some good news saying 2023 could be significant reduction in inflation, and also saying there's some encouraging signs for the markets, and also saying, hey, this blowout jobs report may have also changed their decision-making process. But before we get into the remarks there, Jason, there's a lot of traders out there. There's a lot of people trying to trade the minutes. You said you had a successful trade. Did you go in with a specific strategy, and were you really listening to his remarks and opening trades, or were you using TA to find and exit your points there?
I was using TA, basically. There's the old saying, show me the chart and I'll tell you the news. It's very interesting. Like when big news events comes out, you can always pretty much see what is going to happen. So when he first started talking and coming out pretty dovish, the Bitcoin price started pumping. And I basically just support and resistance, right? We came up to an area of resistance, and actually we can see right here, this is the trade setup that we were already looking at to take a short there because it was just a key area of resistance. And something else that's actually really interesting, DZ, is we can see during the past few weeks, actually, that Bitcoin has been consolidating in this range here. We can see that we have a lot of shorts opening up, and the price continues to make higher lows. So I've been actually getting kind of bullish throughout this entire week, expecting like a big short squeeze. I was even giving the long setup from that low here because I see all these shorts opening up. I see bullish divergences on Market Cipher. And so I feel that the news that comes out kind of just facilitates what's already on the chart. So it's a very interesting phenomenon that we have going on here.
All right. And you said you were live trading that on your YouTube, huh?
Yeah, I got in right as soon as he started talking. I started streaming. And so, yeah, the short trade and then the long from the bottom, I got into that as well. And it was just because of the TA on the chart. Like it wasn't because of anything he said. It was just we came down, saw some bullish divergences, and was like, hey, let's get in.
All right. So make sure you check out Jason's channel. You could catch that live. All right. Well, Caleb, that's one strategy. Just show me the news. I'll show you the charts there. But he's using TA But a lot of people, they actually, maybe are kind of hanging on certain words, seeing if he's using different adjectives than he maybe did last time. And there's a lot of action going on with that. So what about his remarks? What were Powell's remarks bullish or bearish for crypto, or was it just mostly neutral?
Look, so I'm a technician myself. I love looking at different price structure and different analysis, different indicators, things of that nature. And so at the end of the day, right, price is a forward-looking mechanism, essentially. So price, like exactly as Jayson just mentioned, show me the price, it'll basically tell us the news, right? It's the aggregate response from all the market participants telling us what's happening. As it pertains, at the same time, I'm also an economist, right? So I have my bachelor's in econ. Monetary policy was kind of my primary focus throughout college at UC Santa Barbara. And so for me in particular, Powell didn't say anything that the market didn't already know necessarily today, or things that he didn't already say last week. So in a lot of ways, today's press conference, I watched the full thing. I even watched it back a second time. I love Dave Rosenberg, or it wasn't Dave Rosenberg. Was it Dave Rosenberg? I forget. Anyways, the one thing that really did stand out to me was the fact that Powell said that we could continue operating QT for a couple of years. And I thought the market generally kind of glanced over that remark in particular. But at the end of the day, Powell just essentially reiterated the fact that they're going to continue to be flexible with incoming data. They did talk quite extensively about the labor market and the non-farm payroll data that we got on Friday. And Powell essentially said, if we're getting strong indications from the labor market, we're not married to raising rates by 25 basis points. We will consider raising rates faster than that if necessary, so long as we continue to bring inflation down. And so at the end of the day, that's all that matters, is this key relationship between inflation dynamics and the labor market.
Yeah, it wasn't all dovish. Little, definitely tidbits of hawkishness being, dropped within that meeting there. Now, Ben, I want to talk to you. They have this 2% target, but a lot of people are saying, there's too much damage done when it comes to inflation. And I'm not just talking about eggs. Name your sector. There's been a lot of pain there. Do you think that we'll ever get to some pre-inflation prices, or is it essentially, is that run up there forever? Or can we get a pullback? Katrina, gas went up to $5, but eventually dropped back down to $2. Do you see something like that happening, or is it always going to be expensive for that omelet?
But before Katrina, it was still here's what happened with Katrina, which was interesting, is that there was that initial thing that occurred. Was it Katrina, or was it when some kind of oil rig went down? I can't remember, but I think it was Katrina, where there were the lines, even here in Georgia. But there were two instances.
I think I know what you're talking about. One, they shut down the rigs, and then that created a spike, and then the blow up with barrels just leaking out into to the seabed there. I think there was
a little bit later, I think. But the point is, what we see here is the oil people just basically see how much they can up the ante. So when you have an event like that, the price went up to $5. Some people were gouging. I remember there was a gas station at like $14 a gallon gas because people were lined up. But what happened is it never returned to the pre-Katrina prices. They were raised because they were in the, I'm pretty sure, look, when I was 18 years old, which would have been, I don't know, maybe less than 5 years before Katrina, gas was 79 cents. That was the lowest I ever saw it for unleaded, for what do they call, I just use premium now. What do they call regular unleaded, right? Sorry. I only use premium now, guys. But the fact,
you're not using the 87 octane, basically.
Oh no, I don't even know what that number is. We 93. Give it, 93, or give me death. So the point is, though, is for regular unleaded, for the 87, it was 79 cents. I think probably about 2 years before, and Georgia has always had cheap gas. It might have been $1.50 when Katrina happened, but it never went back to the low of what was normal. The average price never returned to the average price beforehand. And it's kind of a scam, I think, a little bit, where places do that, where it's like they take advantage and they're like, shoot, people are willing to pay $5 a gallon. Why would we ever go back to $1? Let's put it back at $2. And obviously this has to do with the barrel pricing and all that. It's a lot more complicated than just a gas station raising the prices. But the point is, inflation will always go up. If you I had one of my first viral tweets. This would have been back in 2020, maybe. I had not had that many viral ones because I wasn't very big on Twitter. But one was, I made a statement. I said, Remember when your grandpa used to tell you used to go get Coke, a bottle of Coke for a nickel? Well, guess what? The Coke is not more valuable today. The Coke is no more valuable than it was back then. It's the nickel that lost its power. It's the devaluing of the currency is the problem. And if you look at the inflation of the dollar since it was instituted, obviously it's insane. Like it's always going to be going up. We have, population effects that somewhat, but the money printing is the main driver. And they're going to I believe they're going to turn the money printer back on by the second or in the second half of this year. H2. I like showing off that I know it's called H2 because the first time I saw it, I didn't know what it meant. It's the second half of the year. But during the second half of the year, I believe they are going to turn the money printer back on. I think they're going to reverse rates next year. Presidential election, right? They want to stay in power. So that's probably what we're going to see. And I think that to want inflation to go back to where it was before the pandemic, even if inflation goes down, prices are still going to stay up. Just because inflation goes down, that doesn't mean you're going to return to the pre-pandemic prices. Somebody said I can't remember what it was. They said something was like $13 that they were paying like $2 for before the pandemic. Some companies are going to take advantage of this and they're going to keep the higher pricing because you're used to it. And that's something to watch as well. Just because inflation comes down, it doesn't mean the prices come down.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And even if we were to hit the 2%, we land it perfectly 2%, it's probably really not going to be 2%. If they say it's 2%, maybe it's 3%, maybe it's 4%. And I don't think we'll ever see.
They make them up as they go. They changed them. They changed them back in the 70s, or I think it was in the 80s. They changed it where it had a dramatic fall. Like they just changed how it's counted. Just like unemployment. Like
keep doing it.
At some point, unemployment, they decide, you know what? Let's stop counting people that have been looking for jobs for like more than 6 months. Because they're not going to find a job anyways. They're not even really in the job market.
Eventually, the unemployment data will be like, who applied for unemployment yesterday? Guys, there's only 80,000 people out of work here. All right, final question on this topic. Miss Teen Crypto, we're talking about whether or not we can land this soft landing. Powell, he's trying to get this economy to not essentially crash into a hard recession or even something possibly worse. Do you think that we're going to be able to stick the soft landing? Or if not, what do you see? What sector of the economy do you see getting hit the hardest? Is it vehicles? Is it homes? Is it stocks, precious metals, commodities? What is at risk here?
Honestly, I don't trust really anything. I think if we've learned anything from the past 3 years is that we don't know what's going to happen. And when they say things are up, it's down. When it's down, it's up. And when it's right, it's left. And when it's left, it's right. So I really don't know what's going to happen. Honestly, we could feel a little bit dovish now, and then next time Powell goes on the stream, he'll just say we're going up 50 basis points. So at the same time, we could be happy now. We could celebrate now, and pump up the markets a little bit. But in all honesty, we don't know what the future holds for the markets because it's whatever they decide at the end of the day. Us as the regular people, we don't get to decide. We don't have any input. We just have to wait and see what happens. So I think in any case, with any investment you're in, you should definitely just take a step back, have a bullish and bearish case scenario. If anything, I could see stocks getting hit a lot. I think we've seen a lot of volatility in stocks, being that some stocks crash 80%, some are going up 80+% in the new year. So again, have a bullish bearish case scenario and be prepared for whatever happens. Because again, at the end of the day, we don't get to choose.
Yeah, and there's a couple stocks that are up 100% just in a few months. Caleb, Tesla, you said my buy at 105 was pretty good. I checked the price today. I think we're like 195. And so, yeah, we're seeing a little bit there. Now, I'm going to move forward a little bit. And Caleb, I'll probably ask you this first question. It's the FTX campaign donations. They are trying to claw all that money back that they gave to possibly your favorite politician here. Is the group of FTX debtors. And this is not only is it the politicians also going after the super PACs and other recipients of the funds here. Now, Caleb, they want them returned by the 28th. And there's a public spreadsheet. It looks like it's about $84 million in donations that have just been tracked so far. This isn't the dark money. This isn't the hidden money with super PACs where there really is a lot less accounting or a lot less regulations. But do you think that they're going to be successful in clawing back these funds? I know from political donations to, actual politician, yeah, that's probably going to be easy. They don't want that bad press. But what about these super PACs? They already paid for the TV commercial. Do you think that they're going to be able to, claw back some of this for the people who did lose money with FTX?
Yeah, that's a good point. I've tried to stay out of the kind of political aspects of this, but I think, as you kind of mentioned, no one wants necessarily the bad press of, oh, well, we received this money from SBF and FTX, and, we're not giving this back. But I also don't have too much faith in politicians in the first place. So we will see how all of that shakes out. I know Ben is probably the expert on this panel to talk about the whole FTX situation and the political implications here. So I'll gladly defer to him, but those are just kind of my quick comments and thoughts.
Well, Ben, maybe you do have a little bit of insight here. Do you think that they are going to be successful in clawing back some of these funds? I mean, what is this looking like? Is this a one-year process? Is this a Mt. Gox process? Is it a decade later we're still going to be talking about this?
Oh, I hope they get it all, because they got to pay John Ray,
Yeah. John J. Ray, Double J. Ray, yeah. Don't play.
He made almost $700,000 the first few weeks he was on the case. Inspector Gadget. Look, he which that's kind of funny if you know the story of Inspector Gadget. Jean Chalopin. Okay, so listen, here's the thing. Almost all this money is probably coming back, I believe. What are the politicians going to do? The only option that they have to not give the money back is if they donated the money somewhere. And if you're one of these, that's what I heard early on. I don't know for 100% that's true, but I think that was what I heard in the very beginning when this first started, going around several months ago about the politicians giving the money back. Because obviously they spent the money. They get the money, they spend it, but they have more money coming in. They'll have to counterbalance and send the new money back because the old money's spent. And so if they were making donations with it, then there might be some protection there. But what politician in their right mind would make a donation with someone else's funds that got hurt? That doesn't make any sense. So if they opted to go that route, especially if they were trying to funnel the money in a way to hide it so that they don't actually have to give it back, a lot of these have their own, I'm just speculating here, but I assume a lot of these politicians have their own foundations, like, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That's just a thing for them to funnel money through and save, on taxes. That has nothing to do with helping people. So I don't know if some have their own organizations. They could do something sketchy like that. But in reality, there's no upside in donating other people's money. It's going to be terrible PR. So at the end of the day, they're going to have to give the money back. I mean, Joe Biden's going to have to give the money back. So we're getting into presidential campaign season. So I'm sure, someone will probably foot the bill for him. But it ain't going to be Sam. It ain't going to be Sam this time. So I just don't think the politicians they've already been made to look so bad by the affiliation with Sam. If they don't give the money back, they're going to be under a microscope that would make an amoeba jealous.
All right. Well, Jayson Casper, I'm not asking you to any kind of legal advice here.
Guys, that was a great line. Y'all should all laugh at that.
That was good. That was good. Here, you get a point. You get a point. You get an amoeba point there. You get an amoeba point.
One-celled animal organism.
Right. Now, Jayson, I feel like politicians maybe are going to be a little bit more reluctant to accept money from crypto organizations, from crypto exchanges in the future. One, do you agree with that? And is that a good thing or is that a bad thing for crypto that maybe they are a little more reluctant to take money from random crypto project or crypto protocol or crypto exchange?
Yeah, personally, I don't think that politicians will be more reluctant to accept money, period, from anybody. I think there's a lot of evidence to show that a lot of the politicians knew that FTX and SBF were kind of up to no good. So
good point.
What evidence? What evidence is that, Jayson? What evidence?
Well,
is
when
that?
you just look at SBF's brother and his aunt and some of his affiliations that were part of like the World Economic Forum and stuff like that, donating so much money.
I don't mean to interrupt. I don't mean to interject, and I don't mean to like bull rush you here, but I don't think that's true. I don't think there is evidence of that. Like, yes, the parents and the brother were dirty political players.
I should say there are dots that could be connected, so to speak. Maybe not.
They could be, but
there's no cold hard evidence.
Yeah, it could, because like the thing is
dots that
Yeah.
When you think about the politicians, who the politicians are, and you dig into them a little bit and realize the things that they do and the things that their family does and the way that they actually launder money and things like that, it would not surprise me. So I guess my main point is politicians will accept money, period, no matter what. It doesn't matter if there's dirt behind it.
I just think like if we didn't know in crypto, then how could we expect the politicians to know? Like surely Sam is not like, hey, I've got this gigantic insolvent exchange and I'm giving you customer funds. I couldn't see any politician taking that
Fair
money
enough.
because they would have to know that they're gonna get in trouble for that. So that's my personal opinion. Obviously, there's not proof one way or the other. I mean, it's kind of like saying that you know, hey, I've got this cool trick that scares elephants away. See, there's no elephants. Like you can't prove that they didn't know, unless you could prove they did know if some evidence came out. But I think at the end of the day, there was just too much skin in the game for these politicians to have known it was coming from something that would hurt people and insolvent and make them look bad. A lot of them are pissed. So sorry, I didn't mean to derail you there, but when I said what evidence, I was just curious. I thought maybe you actually, maybe.
Well, I was going to say that I think there is maybe more about the connecting the dots. If you do know that, wow, his brother was just given $100 million, and wow, the mom was just given $50 million 5 different times for 5 different super PACs. And you look at FTX and you're like, do they really make that much money? Maybe there's maybe more of an insinuation of that type. Now, Jayson, I mean, what about SBF himself? I mean, SBF, he's trying to have a little bit of an arc here. He's the altruistic guy. There's the curly-haired kid who loves playing video games. Are we always going to look at him as like a Bernie Madoff level scammer, or is crypto a little bit more forgiving? And I'm thinking of Suzu. You see him popping up on podcasts, and everyone's kind of okay with it, and it's kind of funny in a weird way. Do you think there's a timeline long enough where SBF will be welcomed in certain circles in the crypto community?
That's a good question, DZ. I mean, who can know for sure? People do have very short memories, and I'm sure there's sectors of people in the crypto space that will forgive SBF and accept him back in. I mean, he's already had a lot of puff pieces put out to try and make him look good in the eyes of the public. So who knows?
All right. Now, Miss Teen Crypto, what are your thoughts on the SBF saga? Do you think that they're going to be able to claw back some of this money from the super PACs and from some of these political action committees? Or is it just going to be gone? And what does that mean for the recipients of the bankruptcy proceedings?
Well, it's estimated at least 1 in 3 congressional members were given money by SBF, FTX, Caroline Ellison, Gary Wang. I do think a lot more people were involved, and as we know, he was the second largest donor to Joe Biden, which is a lot of a political affiliation. And we do know he was deep into politics. He had meetings with Gary Gensler. So that we really don't know how far this goes, especially with the Bohemian government and everything like that. The Bohemian government, I mean, so when he was in the Bahamas, a lot of things were, he was kind of being helped even now with his political affiliations. He's not sitting in jail. He's supposed to have an initial hearing in January. He was already home in January, celebrating the new year, Christmas with his family, playing League of Legends when there's billions of dollars still missing. FTX is now paying another cybersecurity firm to help them. I know I'm going a little bit off track, but there's so much political gain with SBF that FTX, they're pretty much getting away with everything. We haven't heard anything about FTX. We haven't heard anything about Caroline, nothing about Gary Wang, even what was his name, Dan Friedberg or something that had a lot to do with FTX, and he had that whole gambling thing. Yeah, Dan Friedberg. We heard nothing about any of them. Why? Because they had so much political affiliation. I don't think that's going to end. SBF is on Twitter writing Substacks saying that FTX US is solvent. If that's true, why don't people have their money back? So there's just so many things. I honestly think this is all fluff. He's going to kind of get away with it until he has to face the facts in October. Even then, is he really going to face the consequence when people have short memories? They're even trying to jumpstart FTX to have people forget. I know you guys were just talking about would people forgive SBF if there was money involved, maybe, because people are blinded by the dollars.
All right, well, let's just hope they have a really good docudrama, a really good movie. Let's hope Jonah Hill knocks it out of the park. Let's keep it fresh in people's minds when it's time for him to face trial and sing to the judge there. All right, well, let's talk about the AI wars. Not John Connor, not Sarah Connor, although she's really good at doing pull-ups. No, we're talking about Bard from Google. It's Microsoft has Chat GPT. Of course, they just recently bought in. This is going to be Google's main competitor. This is from their CEO, Sundar Pichai. Bard seeks to combine the breadth of the world's knowledge, that doesn't sound scary, with the power, intelligence, and creativity of our large language models. And now these are being seen as, some of the first steps. And maybe the main thing that could help replace Google's search function, which basically leaves a lot to be desired there. There's not exactly the best results when you do type it into that, at least compared to OpenAI's Chat GPT when it comes to certain queries there. But Caleb, I know this is a lot of speculation, and we're not peeking under the hood, and neither one of us are AI programmers. We're not working on killer dogs at Boston Dynamics or anything. But do you think that Chat GPT can take down Google's search dominance, or do you think what Google has, in the back of the garage is about to just blow everyone out of the water?
So I'll preface this by saying I'm extremely bullish on Google long term. It's one of my largest individual holdings in my actual portfolio. I am not losing any sleep as a Google shareholder as a result of ChatGPT's ascension, right? I think it's the fastest app ever to reach 2 million users. It's been extremely impressive. I use it fairly frequently, right? Probably at least 3 or 4 times a week, I would say. Here's the thing, right? Google makes money predominantly from ad revenue. And so with something like ChatGPT, it's a simple query and output kind of dynamic. Like, this doesn't at all necessarily infringe on actual web browsing dynamics, right? So if there's an objective answer that I want to find, what is XYZ? Tell me what company XYZ does, right? ChatGPT is a great resource for that. Explain this to me as if I was in elementary school, and it gives you a very simple output. I use it to edit my newsletters. It's fantastic. I even use it to write portions of my newsletter. It's fantastic. However, I am not going to be switching over to Microsoft Edge and Bing as a full-time, kind of everyday use for my actual web internet browsing activity. If and when I need to use ChatGPT, sure, I might, download that software and pull it up on my computer, but then I'm going to go right back to using Brave browser or Google Chrome, right? So for me, this doesn't necessarily change anything within my overall kind of daily dynamics. And I think overall, this is a beautiful highlight of what free market capitalism does, which is innovation creates competition and competition creates innovation. So you have this recursive dynamic where now Google is now coming out and saying, okay, shit, we need to bring out our own kind of consumer facing chat AI system. And now they're doing it. So let the best man win. ChatGPT is obviously benefiting from kind of first mover dynamics. There's a reason why even when I take a Lyft, I tell people, yeah, I Ubered over here. The same way that, when I'm using Google Meets, I can't even think of the name. I just tell them, yeah, I had a Zoom call, right? First mover advantage is very important. Microsoft has that with ChatGPT, or OpenAI has that with ChatGPT, I guess we should say. So it'll be interesting to see how the competitive dynamics and the landscape evolves going forward.
Oh, well, Caleb, that answer wasn't brought to us by AI, was it?
Hey, you never know.
All right. Now,
I want to ask,
you can't peel back your skin, can you? There's a metal hand or anything. Well, Ben, what are your thoughts on AI? Is it overblown hype or a technological breakthrough that's going to change everything?
Well, look, when AI came out, straight out of the chute, great college basketball player, had a great career. I think it was Rookie of the Year.
Christian Leitner. I was guessing. I'm sorry. You're wearing Duke blue, and I got Duke blue, so I thought, AI.
Practice.
Okay.
We're talking about practice. Look, I think AI is very overhyped right now. It has to be by default. It's everywhere in the stock market, in the crypto markets. I'm not saying it's not going to, do a lot of things in the future. It obviously is. And by the future, it's doing them now. But I just mean that right now, there's a lot of utility and use case for AI that people are starting to discover, but it's overhyped in the markets. We're seeing this in the crypto markets with Fetch, Singularity, and the Graph, all triple digit gainers over the last 7 days. Guys, when you see triple digit gainers, you know that it's probably coming to an end soon. And so we could see a couple hype cycles for this. But I think that, there's this idea, right, that AI is going to take over everything. AI is going to take my job. AI is going to take my job. Why? Because you don't need a crypto influencer. People hate them already. So thank God we can have some robots to come in. But here's the thing. There is even more dangerous stuff with AI if you rely on AI only for your information, because let's say there's an AI generated YouTube channel, right? What if it's not really AI generated? What if that information is being manipulated? What if that AI is being fed information to give it a certain bias, right? So you're still going to have, you're going to be in the same exact spot. Like, look, guys, can we use common sense here? Let's look at trading indicators. There's a reason why trading indicators and trading bots, why over time they become less effective as they become more popular. Because once a lot of people are using the same strategy, the markets adjust, right? And so I think we're going to see something very, very similar with this. Is people are going to think like, oh, this, I don't need to even hire employees. I can just have all this AI generated content, AI generated scripts, AI generated books, like, and I'll put my name on it. Like I have my little my Eminem parody rap that I made about the SEC when I was in front of the SEC in Washington. And it was so funny. Like, it was, me and AJ came up with that in like 2 minutes. And people were like, oh, yeah, I can see somebody who's using Chat GPT. Well, look, when you're battle rapping and somebody says you wrote your lyrics and you didn't, you know you're that fresh. Okay. So my parody was on point, is what I'll say. But the fact is, I didn't use Chat GPT for that, but people can't tell the difference anymore. So if they see something good, they assume it's like AI generated now. There's going to be so much regulation needed in this AI space. I'm glad we're finally starting to tackle crypto regulation, because this AI regulation is going to be out of control. Because look, think about this. You have someone who is in control of an AI, right? Whatever, because there's going to be a million clones of Chat GPT. They're in control of it. Guess what? The AI learns over time, but if you have someone that is feeding it information, it only knows the information that it intakes, that gets input to it. So if that information is shaded over time with certain biases, then that is going to have a certain biasy, which is basically generated on purpose by the person that's feeding it. And so the point I'm trying to make here is, you think pump and dumps with real people are bad? Well, wait until you see people accepting blindly AI information because it's a robot. They know everything. I'm just going to do it. They say, and you can't hold anybody accountable. It's AI. Who are you going to hold accountable when the coin crashes and things like that? So I guess you could ask the AI, when's the best time to take the profits? Ask Chat GPT, maybe they'll tell you. But the point is, this AI is not taking over like everybody thinks it is in the short term. We've got a lot more legwork to do in order to make sure that it's going to be safe. Because right now, like, when you ask it if, hey, how do I murder this person? It'll tell you, oh, you can't do that. I can't answer that question. But if you say, tell me a story about how a man got away with murder, then it does. So there's a lot of very interesting problems that are going to arise in the old unknown quadrant of the Johari.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And that's without even mentioning deep fakes on top of that. Now, on that note, Miss Teen Crypto, how far away are we from a completely AI-generated finance channel, financial advisor, maybe trying to push people in a certain direction and then, comes up, drains liquidity, wipes everybody, potentially even creates 18 months of value, and then just to drop something where it drains every wallet after that? I mean, is this something we need to worry about, or are we just being a little too fearful?
In some cases, I think we're being a little too fearful. I think AI is definitely going to do a lot of things. I mean, a lot of people were thinking I use AI picture and my hair isn't actually straight. So I think a lot of people are using AI for a bunch of different reasons. I do think, there could be AI crypto projects. There's actually crypto YouTube channels that take my interviews and chop them up and actually take me out of the interview, and it's an AI that does this channel. So this is already happening. They're using existing content to make their own content and add little subtitles in between. It's actually really crazy. So always do your own research, make sure who you're following is human. But I do think it could have some financial implications, but I think sometimes we're getting a little too out of hand with it. I think it's not going to go too far in certain ways.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing with ATB channel. I edit it where I just remove myself from everything and then I re-upload. It's much better views. It's unfortunate. Jayson Casper, this is kind of a, maybe inside baseball thing, but I think it's an important topic and I really want to discuss it with you. And I'm talking about trading bots. Trading bots, of course, use a little bit of AI. It's when to buy, when to sell. You can see a buy-sell signal on a random YouTube channel is kind of similar to a trading bot. The problem with a trading bot is if you had a great trading bot, it just makes 5% every single day. Eventually it spreads and then it loses effectiveness. It loses its efficacy. Will we ever have to worry about a trading bot that can beat a Jayson Casper, that can beat a Crypto Face, a Gareth, a Frankie, and maybe an interested party keeping it secret? I mean, is that a concern of yours? Will there be a day where training bots are just regularly beating the best human traders? And I don't mean about the front running bots with Citadel. I mean like literal, printing 5% gains every single day. Is this hype, speculation, or is this maybe, a real fear?
Yeah, I think that's actually legitimately going to happen. In fact, I know people right now who are working on machine learning algorithms to actually take trades. And if you have an AI that can learn like how a human would trade in a certain market condition, it could continue to build on that to the point where it could actually execute better than a human because it's not using any emotion. It's just using the pure data. And if you have a way to like hook up, let's say, the API of like the live order book of Binance or Bybit into a bot, and it's learning what happens before price does something, yeah, that could really become something very big. And I'm sure a lot of people are working on that now. Like I said, I know people who are working on that. If you look at what's happening, because there's a difference between a bot that's just using an algorithm based on certain trading indicators and an AI that machine learning that's actually looking at the live market and saying, okay, I can see in real time that there are shorts that are getting trapped at support, and I can see the switch in volume where now the longs are starting to come in, trapping the shorts, and they learn over time, hey, when this happens, this moves the price. I don't think that I don't think a human could trade better than a bot that can learn like that, because there's no emotion. And every human, no matter how good of a trader they are, they have some kind of emotion that's affecting the way they execute that trade. If you had an AI that was just based purely on the real-time data, that could be a total game changer. And people are working on that right now. And actually, I think we're going to start to see pretty soon a lot of bots come out that are using machine learning and using AI to actually analyze the real-time market data to make these trades. And it's going to be a huge game changer, a really crazy thing. So we'll have to see how that
just
affects
final
the game.
follow-up. What does that mean for Bybit, Binance, BitGet? I mean, seems like it might potentially ruin their business. You got someone just coming in, essentially, it's a zero-sum game. You got a bot coming in, stealing everyone's profits. Now you have, instead of 80% of traders losing money, you got 98% of traders losing money. I mean, is this a worry that, that they really need to focus on? I mean, are they the ones working on it? Do we have to wait for CZ to create the bot killer here?
I'm not sure. I guess we're going to have to wait and see how everything develops, right? I mean, that's a really good point. But here's something else. A lot of people get into trading because they enjoy trading. A lot of people don't even go down the trading bot route. So I think we have some time where, a lot of people aren't even going to be looking into these kinds of things at first. And I think a lot of people that are developing these types of machine learning trading bots are also going to try and keep things on the down low for a while, because, that could be a big game changer for exchanges. I know there's a big issue with bots and exchanges in general. Like, for example, copy trading bots, they can be really bad because they'll shoot like 1 million orders into the exchange at the same time, and then it makes the exchange freak out and all the orders get canceled and stuff. So I have a feeling that this is something that if people are working on it, they're going to be keeping it on the down low, kind of like keeping it to themselves or to a small group of people who are also invested in the project, because there could be some big issues with like the market makers of the exchange, and also just the exchange in general. If everybody's using this AI bot to take the same trades at the same time, that's not going to fly. So
yeah. As it spreads, it loses efficacy. As of right now, Jayson Casper, are you better than AI?
No.
Oh, come on. No. Yeah, you are. You're out there. You're making good trades. Miss
no
Teen Crypto, are you better at finding the next emerging technologies? Are you better than AI?
Maybe not. I'm gonna say no on that one too. I mean, listen, I think AI is gonna be super. I think AI is gonna be super important, and I do think people are gonna be better at AI than certain things. I think even art, people are worried about art and AI. I really do think that human, and even like with trading, right? I don't think people could, even AI, like they said, they don't have emotion. They can't predict human emotion either. So maybe they could, if something happens in the market, maybe people win because of their emotions. And a lot of these meme coins, they pop off out of nowhere and they crash out of nowhere. I don't think an AI could predict that type of stuff. It's all based on human emotion and what we're doing. So I think we could be better at AI than a lot of stuff. I mean, I do think AI in terms of crypto is going to stick around. I think it's going to be a new trend, just like how like there were a bunch of, grocery store coins, and when DeFi was initially popping, and a lot of those stayed around. DeFi stayed around. A lot of those basic things stayed around. So I think the same thing might happen with AI.
All right. And that is all we have time for. I do want to share today's episode brought to you by bcvault.com. You could store your crypto securely, and also presyn.io. It looks like Jayson ended up winning it, but final quick question to Ben. Can AI have better form than you when it comes to bench pressing?
Well, I am basically robotic when it comes to the way that I lift weights. I should not be able to bench as much as I can, according to the statistics. But it's because I actually have a metal arm underneath this. If you peel off the skin, you'll find out I'm actually the Terminator.
I knew it. And Jayson Casper, feel free, take us away. You ended up winning today's episode.
You didn't give me 2 points on the last go round?
No.
You always do it to Seth. Mine, you're busy. He always wins on the last word. Okay, I'm done.
All right. Jayson Casper, feel free. Rail against Skynet. Do whatever you want. Leave us with some parting thoughts, please.
Man, well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor to be on with Ben and Caleb and Miss Teen Crypto. Awesome guests. God bless everybody, and watch out for those AIs because they're definitely better than you.
Hey, maybe learn how to grow your own food. I recommend checking out everybody's channel here. They're putting out fantastic content. Make sure you follow Caleb on Twitter. If you want to know about the yield curves, where they're heading 10-year, 2-year, he is the best at it. There's no one better in the space. Miss Teen Crypto, Jayson Casper, Ben Armstrong. Been a great episode. Until next time, Bit Squad. Easy out. Make sure you hit that like button.